Hello and welcome back to the channel. We have just left Whitefish Point, which had some very nice beaches and a cool shipwreck museum nearby. And as per usual, I forgot to start the camera when I was leaving the dock. One of these days, I'm sure I'll have some footage of me pulling out, but until then, this is what we have. After leaving Whitefish Point, we're heading over to the Soo locks. This is the last day on Lake Superior itself. I believe on day 4 of this trip, when we first entered Lake Superior, I was mentioning that I was a bit anxious to enter the lake due to its reputation. But the lake has been incredibly nice to us. The worst waves we've been out in have been less than 2 feet, and there was only one dense fog bank, which we navigated well. Other than that, it's just been smooth sailing the whole time, which I'm very grateful for. Now, I am terrible at French names, but I'm going to give this a shot. This is Gross Cap Reef Light. It is at the bottom of Whitefish Bay, marking the entrance of the St. Mary's River. It has a very cool wedge-shaped front to it. As we approach the mouth of the St. Mary's River, we see some boats off to the right who must have just come up the Soo locks. Looking at the map, at this point we've gone about 30 miles of the 40-mile total we'll be traveling today. When I was originally coming up the St. Mary's River to head to Lake Superior, I was disappointed I didn't encounter a single ship. So I was very happy to see this cool classic Laker that I was able to get pretty close to as it was idling, waiting for its turn in one of the locks. I don't think the camera quite gets across how big these ships are in person. The locks are just underneath the big bridges you see off in the distance. The double bridge on the right is where the 4 American locks are, and the bridge off to the left is the Canadian lock, which is just for pleasure vessels. However, pleasure vessels can also use the American locks. They can just be a little busier at some points. I had radioed in a few minutes earlier to let them know I was coming to the lock and ask what side tie I should set up for. And they let me know my timing was perfect as they were just raising and opening the gates for a few other cruisers. Even though we are in Canadian waters and are going to be using Canadian lock, you do not need prior authorization to use it or a passport. They just need basic information like your boat registration information. And there isn't a fee or anything like that to use it. During my last video coming through here, I called this orange bridge up ahead a railroad bridge. However, a few nice commenters on that video let me know that it was actually a swing-in flood barrier, in case anything goes wrong with the lock downstream. Although it seems like it's nicely maintained and painted, I don't know if it's more of a historical artifact right now or it's still functional. Either way, it's a fun landmark to cruise by. Commenters have also informed me that this whole lock used to be for big lake ships, and then it was converted by the Canadian government just for pleasure vessels. That's why these two unused gates are here as you enter. It's part of the old historic lock. I have the boat in idle, just taking things as slow as I can. I am completely solo on this trip, so I am single-handing everything. And going up, it was a starboard tie, which is a lot easier for me since the wheel is on the starboard or right side of the boat, so I can just do everything out the window. Going down, I have everything set up so I can go on the port side to go down. The trouble with that is I can't reach the bow thruster or wheel and grab the side there, so speed is my enemy in all of this. The lock keepers didn't rush me or anything, and I let them know I was coming in solo, so they were very patient and very kind with me. I would have found the whole thing a bit more treacherous if there were any wind, but today was pretty much dead calm. Even though I was on a port tie here, I actually found coming into the lock while it was full a little less intimidating. I think part of it is when you're coming up, you enter a box with sheer concrete walls on either side of you, and it's a little freaky. And probably because I've also done this once before, so I kind of knew what to expect. I'm interested in hearing all of your thoughts about this. Do you think that going down in a lock is a bit less intimidating, or are going up and going down about the same to you? Or do you simply not find locks intimidating at all?
Hello. Morning.
I was the only one waiting in line to go down on the lock today. So it was nice, slow, and steady, just going right up to where the lock keeper is up there and tying off and getting ready to go down.
How's it going?
You're all right?
Yep, figure's perfect.
Fantastic.
If I hand me your line, I'll put it around for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll get the badge.
Yep.
Because I was solo, what I did to hold the lines was loop lines around each cable and run the lines inside the boat so I could handle them by myself. And then I could walk out on the back deck and make sure the boat was sticking to the wall all right. The system worked very well and I had absolutely no issues going down. I also met up with some family at this lock who were just finishing up their third great loop trip and were at the Grand Banks rendezvous at the Canadian side of Sault Ste. Marie. So they were able to take a photo of my boat and send it to me, and then they came over to the American side of Sault Ste. Marie later that day. They are very experienced boaters and have been around the Great Lakes for most of their lives, so I relied heavily on their advice during my Lake Superior portion of this trip. They were able to recommend stops for me like Whitefish Point, where we stopped the night before. Our plan for today is to go over to the George Kemp Marina, which is just across the river from the Canadian lock, fill up, and spend the night. As we near the entrance of the George Kemp Marina, we see the vessel quay again for the third or fourth time on this trip. The big Laker ship you see in front of us is the Valley Camp Museum ship. I'd say it's definitely the highlight of staying at the George Kemp Marina because it's a very easy walk to get over and tour the ship, which is very cool to see how the old sailors used to live and see what's inside the ship itself. They even had a lifeboat from the Edmund Fitzgerald. And while you're walking around on deck, you get a great view of the locks and the marina. The town ended up being a really cool spot to stay because you got to watch all the big ships go up and down the river and into and out of the locks. And because the river isn't very wide at this point, you get to see a lot of them up close. Well, thank you for watching another one of my videos. Next time we will be heading down the length of the St. Mary's River to Detour, Michigan. It ends up being a perfect day weather-wise, and I even get out the drone again. If that's something you're interested in seeing, please subscribe. Until then, have a great day.